Good evening. Christine Griffin, Assistant Superintendent for Business, back again to talk to you about our budget. This is our, tonight we're presenting our second update for the 26-27 budget. Tonight's focus is on the operational pillars of the district, operations and maintenance, security, and transportation. Our agenda this evening is pretty straightforward. We'll briefly review our overarching goals for this budget cycle, dive into the details for security, transportation, and operations and maintenance, and conclude with a review of our budget calendar, the remaining items, and our next steps. Before we look at the numbers, it's important to ground ourselves in our guiding principles. Our goals remain consistent. First, maintaining a comprehensive education the Victor Central School District expects. Aligning our resources with our district's strategic plan. We are also focused on stabilizing reserves and maximizing every dollar spent, and of course, generating aid for future years. Finally, as always, we are committed to full transparency throughout this process. Let's begin with operations and maintenance. You'll see a proposed total budget of $5,868,252, which represents an increase of 2.9%, or roughly $164,000. Salaries are up 3.8%, driven by contractual obligations. Supplies show a 7.7% increase, really due to increased needs and rising costs. I do want to draw your attention to the BOCEs and the capital outlay project lines. You'll see a significant decrease in BOCEs and a new $100,000 entry for the capital outlay, and I'll go on to explain that a little bit in our next slide. So to maximize state aid, specifically building aid, we are making a strategic shift in how we are doing some projects in our facilities department. So we're moving $100,000 from the 25-26 BOCES line in operations into a capital outlay project line, which will provide 75.2% aid in the following fiscal year. This $100,000 was in there as part of a two-year door hardening project over the course of the 24-25 and the 25-26 school years. Shifting it from the BOCES line to the capital outlay line, it's budget neutral. It's something that we can keep consistent in our budget and do that year over year, and we get aid this next year. So that first year, you don't have aid, but that second year, you get aid for the project the prior year, and you end up with getting $100,000 worth of work done in that second year for $25,000. Additionally, we are reviewing our some staffing shifts in the department, but we'll be looking at our personnel budget over the next month and a half, and we'll be presenting in March on some of those shifts. Security, we're proposing a total budget of $675,431, which is an increase of 4.1% year over year. Salaries, we'll see an increase of 3.1%, again driven by contractual obligations. Our contractual expenses are increasing by 10%, or $12,600. This line covers the cost of our SRO through Ontario County and was under budgeted already, $4,200 in 25-26. So if you take that factor out of it for 25-26 going into 26-27, really that increases about $8,400 or 6.45%. So I just want to make sure that we right size that line so we have sufficient funds in that for the next year. Regarding equipment, that line at $60,000. This allocation is specifically for security cameras and interior and exterior door hardening. This equipment is eligible for the New York Safe Act aid, which reimburses us also at that 75.2% building aid in the next fiscal year. So again, if that line was $100,000, we get $75,000 back. We get $100,000 worth of work for 25 $100,000. So we try to budget something in that. It helps us replace our cameras in the district as things break, but also expanding on security. Next, let's review transportation. The proposed budget is $5,258,825, or a 4.3% increase. Salaries are budgeted to increase 4%. However, as we continue to work on our personnel budget, we may see further refinement on that line. You'll notice a 14.4% increase in the contractual line, and our contract busing is also up 5.8%, and I'll talk a little bit more about that on our next slide. The other remaining items, upon review, we left those flat. There's two main drivers for the transportation increases. The driver shortage is driving the fact that we must continue to use outside providers to assist with transporting our students due to the ongoing shortage of district drivers. Insurance correction, that $53,000 increase on the contractual line is really largely due to insurance. Again, it was a budget thing for the 25-26 year and actually prior years. So we're catching up a bit in 26-27 as prior years general liability insurance for our vehicles and buses over the last couple of years have exceeded the amount for that line. So we're just kind of correcting that line so that we can cover that going forward. And there's also a minor increase in the professional development for the transportation staff, administrative office team for $3,500. Separate from the operating budget and the general fund for our transportation department, you'll also see on the proposition this spring we're proposing for the annual bus fleet replacement. Consistent replacement is vital for safety. This year we're proposing the purchase of 5 77-passenger diesel buses, 2 30-passenger diesel buses, and 1 60-passenger diesel wheelchair bus. This total fleet upgrade is about $1.56 million and ensures that our bus fleet remains safe and within warranty windows. Next steps, the Assistant Superintendent for Personnel will continue meeting with building and departments regarding staffing needs. Simultaneously, I'm meeting with department and building leadership regarding non-personnel items. These requests will be calculated and presented to the district cabinet for prioritization before we incorporate them into future budget presentations. The executive budget proposal from the governor will be released next week, giving us a glimpse into the state aid portion of our revenue. And then we're going to continue to meet twice a month, leading up to the final budget recommendation for the to be adopted at the April 16th board meeting. So looking ahead at our calendar, January 29th, we'll review the budget, building budgets. February 12th, we'll cover instruction and pupil services. February 26th, we'll discuss revenue and the tax cap calculation. In March, we shift our focus to personnel. We'll be presenting on March 11th the personnel budget. And on March 26th, we'll provide any updates from the previous presentations and budget lines and any further refinements. So our goal is to have the final budget adopted at the April 16th meeting, followed by the budget vote on May 19th. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
On the security slide, I just want to just point something out for this, really just saying thank you to this board and the board members who were here prior and in the community and the school itself, because this slide basically was an SRO not that long ago, and the ability, and I know it was with an override, but the ability as we were moving through where the gaps were in this district, security was a huge one. And I would venture to say if you pulled I would pull the staff and the students that it feels a lot more safe with the stuff that we're able to do. So it's nice to see this has grown over the years, because it was anemic at best about 4 or 5 years ago.
Anything from anyone else? Thank you.